Good afternoon, everybody. It's the Bank Holiday Monday. Wonderful weather outside. I hope you're all enjoying the fun in the sun after a long weekend. And it is your half term, so I'm sure you're all looking forward to having a week away from the learning and doing some bits in the sunshine that I think is going to carry on all week. Now, I have specially done this video to answer any questions that you or your parents have around the return to school on the 1st of June, which is next Monday, actually, a week today. I know, obviously, you've all received the letter from Mrs. Wills over the weekend, lots to digest, and I know you still have some questions for Year 6 in particular. There's only so much I think Mrs. Wills was able to write on a document that big, so I did preempt that there would be some questions and some queries, which is absolutely fine, no problem. I'm happy to answer them. What I will do is go through all of the questions that have been posed to me. I did ask for all questions to be emailed to me by 12 o'clock today, just so it gave me some chance to both prepare some answers and also to enjoy a bank holiday day myself as well. So absolutely no problem. I'm happy to answer these questions and just go through them from there, really. So thank you for that. So there's a lot of questions around the bubble groups. Now, I'm not going to go into anything that's in the letter already. I'm not going to repeat myself based on what we've had from the letter from Mrs. Wills, so I'm going to be careful I don't keep repeating that. And there'll also be a video on Wednesday around just showing the children the classroom and what it's going to look like in the outdoor space as well, and just the logistics of when to come into school and things like that. So I'm not going to go into detail with that today. That's going to be a video, and also I'm not going to repeat anything that was in the Saturday's emails from Mrs. Wills, so I don't want to keep repeating different bits. That's great. Right, so the bubble groups. Lots of questions around what they're going to look like, who will be my teacher, will I be with my friends is a very common one as well, and how it's all going to work. Let's explain that now then, shall I? So yes, we are going to accommodate and factor in to have all of the children back. That's the idea at the moment. We're factoring in, you're going to come back, so that's 28 we've got to factor in for. There's going to be a couple of people who are going to stay in the key workers group, because of siblings and things like that, where we're trying to keep siblings together, and they know who they are. But we're planning for around about 24, 25 people coming in for Year 6 and looking at it that way. The bubbles will be split across 3 groups, okay, 3 groups. 2 of those groups will be on a Monday and a Tuesday, and the 3rd group will be on Thursday and Friday. So you would have seen from the letter that we split the week in half. Monday and Tuesday, we have some children coming in. Wednesday, we then halt the process, have a cleaning of the areas and everything like that, other than the key workers still coming in. And then Thursday, Friday, the other groups come in. Now, it's not splitting the class in half, so to speak, and having half on Monday and Tuesday and half on Thursday and Friday. It's going to be 2/3 on Monday and Tuesday and 1/3 on Thursday and Friday. Let me explain how that's going to work. So on Monday, in the Year 6 classroom, we're looking at having a maximum of 9 in each class. Preferably 7 or 8, but a maximum of 9. I'm hoping for an average of 7 or 8, that would be great. So I'll have 7 or 8 in with me in Year 6. Mrs. Fox will have the same number with her on a Monday and Tuesday in Year 4, which is next door. And then that will leave us with the remaining 7, 8 to come in on Thursday and Friday with Mr. Flowers. So therefore, you'll either have me as a teacher or Mrs. Fox as your teacher. So I'm going to be teaching 2 groups. Yes, some people have asked me the question, Mr. Flowers, you're teaching 2 different bubbles. Well, the government's recommendation is that you have no more than 15 in a bubble. So therefore, I will not be teaching more than 15 across the week, because we're having 2 smaller groups of bubbles on a Monday and Tuesday. There'll be 7 and 8, Mr. Flowers, and then I will have my second bubble group, which would be a small group of 7 or 8, with me on a Thursday and Friday. So therefore, not having an exposure of more than 15 children as per the government guidelines. Mrs. Fox will have just 7 or 8, and she's only in on Monday and Tuesday, so therefore that frees up that way. Will I be with my friends in my bubble? Well, there's an interesting way we're going to do it, because I think it's important to be crystal clear, but also to be understanding of the dynamics that we have. Children will be grouped into their bubbles by taking into consideration 3 things. We think those who will need similar amount of support or similar areas of support. That would be one consideration. Another consideration, of course, would be the friendship groups and understanding the importance of how socially it's been difficult for people and getting them all back in those ways and speaking with their friends. That's going to be a big consideration. And also the third consideration is who do we think is going to be beneficial of coming in for Monday and Tuesday at the start of the week rather than Thursday and Friday at the end of the week. So there are 3 considerations. We can't promise anything or everything. I think that's an important thing to have. I can't deal with requests, so to speak, where it's saying, well, can I possibly in the Monday and Tuesday group, could I have them with these people and can Mr. Flowers be the teacher? It's just not feasible or particularly flexible when I'm trying to work like that. I think it's important for us to stay understanding of the situation. Of course, we take into consideration friends the best that we can, but the way that we're mapping things out, we've got to take into consideration all of those things and what works for us as a school as well. I think that's important. It's got to be manageable from our perspective. So, of course, you know me, I've always been as understanding as possible when taking into consideration viewpoints from parents and children. We'll make it work the best that we can. Have trust in me that I'll do that I know your children pretty well in terms of who their friends are and who they work best with, but also making sure they have the right support in place if it's similar areas and bits like that. So please do be understanding and flexible. For me, it's a very important part, the social side of it. But at the forefront of our minds has to be, is it safe for our children to come back? And if you feel happy with what we've put in place, then that should be your first point of understanding as opposed to friendship groups. But I understand that that's going to come into consideration as well. How many bubbles will there be? Yeah, we've talked about that. 3 bubbles between 7 and 9 in each group. Mr. Flowers in the Year 6 classroom and Mrs. Fox on the Year 4 classroom on Monday and Tuesday. And then the final group in the Year 6 classroom with Mr. Flowers on the Thursday, Friday. So therefore, 2/3 of you will have me as your teacher, 1/3 will have Mrs. Fox. I'll be next door, the doors will be open, I'm not allowed to come in and different things, but I will be accessible for those who are with Mrs. Fox, and she is amazing anyway, so please understand that. When will I find out my bubble? I'm going to say bubble a lot. I think that's going to be an interesting one. Following tomorrow's deadline at 12 midday, what I would like to make sure you do following this video is that you most definitely reply. I've only had 10 so far in terms of actual communication come back, which is fine. I know you obviously may be waiting for this video, but please do send Mrs. Wills an email following this as soon as you can so I can start working on numbers and bubbles from tomorrow. I'll inform you at some point on Wednesday of what bubble you will be in. So I'll tell you which day you're in, I'll tell you which classroom you're in, and I'll tell you who your teacher will be, whether it be me or Mrs. Fox. I'm not going to go into who's into each group in the list. I don't feel comfortable sending that out to all parents with names and things like that. But of course, if you want to find out which bubble you're in, you can of course speak to your friends and see there following the video and following the announcement. On Wednesday as well, there'll be a tour of the classroom, as I said, so that will be followed shortly or before the bubble announcement is made. The bubble announcement, gosh. Classroom and routines of the day. Will children simply follow the home learning just in the school environment? Will there be any differences during the day? Well, yeah, the children will predominantly follow what the home learning has been so far. In the morning, they'll complete their My Math, spelling, frame, and English writing tasks, and the staff will assist with the projects in the afternoons and things like that. But what we will have in the afternoons, we'll have the opportunity to do some transition activities. I've planned and resourced 10 individual lessons around transition that would normally be replicated in the summer term. I will then look to do 1 or 2 of those activities for each bubble across their 2-day period and deliver that way. So they have the chance to start doing some transition activities, lots around mental health, lots around thinking forward and what this means to us, having those honest and open discussions in that social forum, which I think is the most beneficial. We'll have the opportunity to work outside as much as possible as well, some outdoor learning or reading outside simply, whilst maintaining those social distancing rules. So yes, we will be outside as much as we can, particularly if the weather is this glorious, and trying to maximise our wonderful outdoor space. The other way we're thinking about it as well that might look slightly different is the class dojo system that I'm going to be introducing. I'll probably run through that on Sunday with you and how that's going to look. I'm setting up accounts at the moment. That's all to do with a new way of submitting work. The work will still be set on the website and bits like that, and on Class Dojo. I'm going to double it up and see how it goes. But we're going to trial this Class Dojo system, which is all about pupil-parent interaction with their teacher and an easier way of uploading videos and things like that, rather than sending various things on WhatsApp and email and bits like that. Children will be trained on that, of course, when they come in as well in class, and we'll have a look at that together during our return to school. Will I be able to play sports? Well, yes, you will. Although we're going to stick into our bubbles for that day, for the duration of the day, so you'll be in that bubble for lunch and everything like that. We'll have the opportunity on a timetable structure to go outside and use the playground and use the field. I think it's going to look relatively familiar. It's not going to look anything too strenuous, guys, and you'll see that from the video that I post on Wednesday. It's not going to be marked boxes where you have to stand in, and we are not, as a school, taking that approach at all. It's very much, particularly with Year 6s, I'm not going to talk about different year groups, but Year 6s and the class that I have, I feel really confident and comfortable that with clear instructions and understanding the expectations that we'll be able to do this, particularly at break and lunch times. We're going to be given a little crate per bubble where you'll be having that equipment to play with across the 2 days. And this will involve activities that do not involve picking anything up and touching with hands and sharing cross-contamination of that. It'll be things like golf, where you'll be able to hit your own ball and bits like that. It'll be hockey at a social distance. Lots of target games and things that we're working on as well as a staff to try and make it as fun and as normal as possible. I think that's important, isn't it? So yeah, that's what we're looking at for the sports, and then there'll be clear rules and expectations about touching what ball, hands and things like that, and the cleaning of the equipment after use. After that's done and used there, Tuesday, Wednesday, the staff and the team will clean the equipment as well, and then the equipment boxes will be separated for those who would want to use it for the other groups and bits like that. So therefore, the groups are not touching the same equipment as different bubbles. That makes sense. If I wanted to send my child back to school in a couple of weeks, would a bubble place be made available? Bubble place. If I wanted to send my child back for in a couple of weeks, would that be available? So yes, if you have chosen at this time not to send your child back, I have factored in anyway a place, as I've just gone through, and we are accommodating for the whole cohort, so therefore you will slot into a bubble group that way. What we would ask, though, there is that once that decision is made, that it's not a chopping and changing activity where we're thinking, okay, I fancy it this week, but actually I'm going to go home the week after. So you obviously have that decision to make, but once that decision is made, we really would encourage that you continue the routines and the bubble stays as it is. That would be fantastic. So therefore we're not managing it as staff as best we can. If I choose not to send my child back to school at this time, will home learning and support still be in place? Yes, of course. Children will be set their weekly work as usual, as I've talked about, and our daily podcasts will continue. I may even get some of our children who are in school to do some podcasts in the background with me. That might be pretty cool. The accessibility is going to be slightly different. I'm going to be working in school 4 days a week, so therefore, in terms of my accessibility of actually having to reply to emails and be able to do that way. Class Dojo should help with that, which we'll explain, but just be understanding that it may not be ease of access that we are used to, but there will be still that continued presence on my maths and everything that goes on there, so it would look pretty similar if you're choosing to keep your child at home. Will the desks be 2 metres apart? Well, I know that perhaps is a question that was considering if we had 15 in a class, but I hope from what I've said around between 7 and 9 children, maximum of 9, I wouldn't have thought we'd have to do 9, between 7 and 8 children, that it is much more feasible to understand that we could actually maintain the 2 metre social distance in the classroom. Therefore, we will be able to ensure that government social distancing guidelines are adhered to as closely as possible, absolutely. And again, that video on Wednesday should be able to show and demonstrate that slightly more. If my child needs assistance, will the teacher be able to come into their zones to assist on a one-to-one basis? Well, no, the teacher will stay at the forefront of the class where possible. However, with the numbers that we have in a smaller group, it will be possible, as and where necessary, for the teachers to be able to walk through the shared walkthrough in the classroom that you'll see. But of course, if someone's got a problem, I'm very much drawn to make sure we're in that area without going into their zone, so to speak. So absolutely, I will be able to come over to the children. We're still maintaining that 2 metre social distance and help from afar, if possible, in those scenarios. So that's much more achievable when, of course, we've only got 7 or 8. But we still need to remember, of course, in those situations that the staff are putting themselves at risk, so to speak, and their health is paramount as well as the children in that situation. So whilst we are maintaining that 2 metre social distance, it's important to understand that we need to look after the staff and make sure they are not feeling they have to come too close and maintain the same rules the children would do. What equipment should I bring? This will be discussed in our Year 6 tour on Wednesday. I'll go through that then. So I hope that answers the majority of the questions. You'll find out your bubble on Wednesday, so please now do send in your decision to Mrs. Wills. That would be great. Have a discussion as a family. The point I'm going to say is, I understand that obviously that there will be some speculation, discussion, and as parents, you'll be wanting to discuss your feelings and thoughts with others that are in your same situation as you, and that's completely understandable. What we're recommending as a school is that of course, it's completely down to you how you have those conversations, but it's important that you make the decision based on what's best for you, your family, and your own child. I know there's been a lot of things in the media and different things like that, but it's completely your own decision. So I would avoid, if possible, this is only a recommendation, too much discussion and speculation in the public groups and things like that. I know the Facebook group, it's completely down to you, but my recommendation is that you have those conversations, if possible, in private, therefore not to influence others, indirectly, of course, when it comes to making a decision. Obviously, people are going to want to voice that, so that's down to you how you want to do that. But that's just a recommendation from a school perspective. And please, whatever happens, if you're unsure of something, just email me. Please do not feel you need to pop it onto Facebook or anything like that, into the Facebook group, and create any sort of form of speculation. Just come and speak to me. You know how approachable and understanding I am, and how prompt I am with my reply. So please just do it that way, as to stop any unnecessary speculation or worry with anyone. So please do just ping me an email if you need any more questions answering. I hope that's been useful for you and you found that clear and concise. Yes, and I will look forward to posting a video on Wednesday once I have got both your numbers. So please just get that across to Mrs. Wilson, CC me in so I can get the numbers going, and I'll give you a tour of the classroom and how it's all going to look. All right, that sounds great. And I'm not sure how much feedback I'm going to be able to give this week. It's all very busy and hectic. It may be, I might give myself a deadline of this Friday, to try and get some feedback in from last week's home learning, because it's all pretty chaotic with this. If you feel you wanted to ask me anything, like I said, let me know. If possible, try to avoid emailing Mrs. Wills. I've been heavily involved in everything that's gone on with the layout of the school and our policies and the way that we're pushing things and how our school is looking. So please do email me if you can. Save Mrs. Wills' inbox. Keep getting cluttered. I'm involved as much as I can be, so please do let me know. All right, guys, I hope you found that very useful, and I've answered all the questions. I think so. And look out for those bubbles and announcements on Wednesday, and please do get your bits into Mrs. Wills. All right, guys, thank you very much. It's Flowers out. Bye-bye.